Hey gamers, welcome to the PTGC podcast. My name is Gerard. Joining me are my other hosts, Gio and Mike.
What up?
There you go. On today's, if you can say it faster than I
Excited.
can say it, we're doing good.
Excited for this game.
Today's episode is a game recently announced at the Xbox Showcase that's received a lot of praise and is actually exciting for all three of us. That game is Clair's Obscur Expedition 33. How's everybody's thoughts on this game? And especially like when we saw it at the showcase, because none of us expected this. It's a new game completely. What are our first thoughts? We'll start off with Mike because he's been so excited for this game.
I am excited. I think out of the whole games that they show, I picked this one as the most excited to play. I think visually looks good. It's RPG turn-based, of course, and it's going back kind of older. Most RPGs are kind of like open combat-ish.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm excited about this. It's different. Well, not say different, but it looks interesting. The graphics, the story, and I think what took me in was just the storyline and the visuals effects. So definitely excited, very excited for this game. I can't wait till it comes out because I will definitely get it first day.
And we will talk about the more visual aspects of it later, because I definitely want to talk more about that. But like a counter is like, yeah, we all thought it was beautiful and very like back to the JRPG elements. What about you, GM? What did you think? Your first thought?
On first view, like Mike said, I wasn't expecting that game. It wasn't like anything like leaked out, at least to didn't drop on my radar by any means, that game. So seeing it firsthand and seeing the visuals really drew my attention at first because it's a visually stunning game. Then when I saw the RPG elements to it, like I told you, I didn't even notice it at first. The first time I watched the trailer, it was the second time I noticed the turn-based system. And I was like, oh, okay. All right, this is interesting. This really got my attention now. So I'm excited about it because I've been looking for an old school kind of RPG. And to be fair and honest, I think that's been a area that really is dominated by Square Enix for the most part. So it's kind of interesting to see a new company come out that's looking to combat and make their name in that realm. So I'm excited to see what they can do.
Yeah. So that it is a thing because like what most people don't know is that JRPGs, the J stands for Japanese, are Japan's take on role-playing game, and this is made by a French company actually. This is their first game going in, and this game is basically an homage to turn-based games of the past. Beautifully made. Excuse me, I forgot to mention the company's name is Belle Epoque. France is inspired. But this game is gorgeous. It's visually appealing. Like, honestly, the entire aesthetics, the grandness of it all, the sharp, clean textures and models reminds me of like Final Fantasy 13 or what's another game? Lost Odyssey, which is the game I was mutually mentioned during our showcase episode. That this is what this is a great game reminded me of. Visually amazing for this JRPG aspect. But what do you guys feel? Because I know that a JRPG, and Gio mentioned this, is that they are predominantly made in the East, like Japanese company like Square Enix or like Bandai or even like From Software who has that JRPG element. So what do you guys think about a non-East company, a non-Japanese company, more importantly a French company making a JRPG? We'll start with Gio now. We'll go back around. Gio, what are your thoughts?
Honestly, I'm intrigued to see it. From what it looks like visually, and just from the trailer, it looks to me like they're big fans of JRPGs. So yeah, I feel like it's paying kind of like homage and also maybe putting their spin on it. bringing a whole different uh, idea and vision to the JRPG scene, even just based on the storyline and how it looks. I think the concept was really interesting when you really look at it. For me, I don't know how you guys felt, but it kind of reminded me like a Hunger Games kind of story, kind of deal with the whole, changing of the number by the paintress, and whoever's that age, whatever number that is, just disappears, kind of like a Thanos kind of moment. It's kind of funny putting that together, but it's kind of interesting, that concept. So I'm intrigued by the idea. One thing I am interested to see too, I think the trailer had some good music to it, but that's a big thing in JRPGs too. I wonder how the music's going to be, because that plays a big part, especially when it comes to the storylines and stuff like that and the cutscenes. So I'm intrigued to see how they go about creating a JRPG.
All right.
I mean,
No, go ahead, Mike. I always gonna.
I'm definitely, I'm definitely intrigued. I do like it that another, company that's French are doing it. It kind of just, it doesn't like kind of tunnel vision to one person and kind of like specify the Japanese and making this type of games and turn-based and stuff. I do like a different perspective, maybe of the French, maybe bring a different view on it, and like I said, like Gio was saying, paying homage to the the originals. So I do like it that it's expanding to other countries. French is just doing their perspective, and maybe it opens doors for other companies that's not either French or the West or the East, something along that lines. So I feel, and it looks so far, granted, we haven't played it. There's not really a whole lot out there yet, but it already piqued interest already. So they're moving in a good direction. And the more we see trailers, and then when the game actually does come out, maybe I'm coming with maybe a higher expectations, but I do like it and definitely will try it. So
yeah, and it is. I agree with both of you. Like, both definitely gonna try it. The visual aspect of it. Give me a second.
This is a reminder.
I also agree with you, Mike. Don't
This man needs Alexa to remind him to work.
look, Gia. I need you
Sorry,
to shut
guys.
up.
sorry, guys.
I'm trying to cut this out, so I'm trying to put a silence. I need Gio to shut the fuck up.
Don't cut it out. Leave it in. This is humor.
We'll put it up on iPads, but we're trying to make this short. All right. I agree with you, Mike. I think a lot of these movements forwards and changes, I really am, all three of us, I believe, are looking forward to picking up this game. And Gio mentioned it, actually. The music is going to be playing a big part into this game. Actually, I did listen to a brief 2-minute clip of one of their songs, because they're also releasing an album with the game. And it's on their homepage to preview. And if you have the time, I do recommend checking out exposition33.com to make sure that you get all the updates on the game and pre-order if you would like. But at the bottom of it, they have wallpapers, behind the scenes concept art, but more importantly, a soundtrack preview. And they give a 2-minute clip of the music of the game, and it is gorgeous. It has this old, like, I don't want to say Catholic, but like church music with an organ and strings in the background. But more importantly, the orchestra, I don't know the lyrics, but they sound Latin. And you know a game is good if Latin lyrics are being sang in the music. So I may be wrong. It may be French, but I don't know either. So, but it's beautiful, and you're right. It's very important that RPGs in general have good music. It doesn't have to be this grandeur music like we're hearing in Expedition 33, but it needs to be good, captivating, and more importantly, thematic. And I feel like from that soundtrack preview, it is very thematic that we're getting, and it looks like they're paying a lot of attention to detail, which is what I want for a game company to do. Just like if you're going to go with a single player experience, which in my opinion is a very risky endeavor in our modern age, you're going to need to pay a lot of attention to details, like things that people are not going to be touching a lot still needs to be polished, like music, visual aspects, and gameplay, which is going to be the main focus of what people experience. Because the storyline, I believe, and I would like to talk about it just a tiny bit, the storyline that Gio mentioned is a very thematic and crazy idea. Just like, imagine just in a world, one person, you see a number at all times, and that number ticks down every year, and everyone that year or that number represents disappears. Okay, we don't know if they die. This is up to speculation on what actually happens to them, if they truly die, disappear, Thanos, vanish, disappear, isekai, we don't know. But it's very important that I don't think that idea could have originated in Japan. I do think this is a fresh take, a Western idea of it, because in my personal opinion, I think Easterns technically always have this idea, like, I would like to be the main character, be the focus of it, and either the main character is very strong or goes through a pattern of strength and like discovery. While this game is more out of desperation, we are trying to do something. Like, the world is screwing us over, it's bad, we're just trying to stop it. And I do feel like that kind of more, I don't want to say morality, but like that kind of theme, those subplots and those sub-themes are mostly Western based rather than Eastern based. Eastern based have usually like the unity, but mostly that main character energy. So what are you guys' takes on this story that seems to be hopelessness and desperation, and what other stories are you reminded of about this game? Gio.
Well, for me, I like the concept. I like the idea of the story. I like how the world seems to be playing around the story. Even the representation, the visuals, it really brings to life what they're trying to convey. So I'm really intrigued by how they go. Like you said, we don't know exactly what happens when these people quote unquote disappear. If they really die, or do they get sent to some world or something like that, or they are imprisoned by the paintress in a way. So it could be a lot of different elements there. So it's going to be intriguing to see what they do with that story, how they play that out. I do like it. Like I said, it kind of reminds me of a Hunger Games kind of situation. Like every year, they put the kids or whatever to fight in a battle royale type.
Volunteers, more like voluntold.
Quote unquote, yeah, volunteers. Anyway, yeah, it's supposed to sound like some. It was interesting. I like it, and since you said that, I didn't really think about it. I didn't think it is kind of a Western based idea, because if you think of Hunger Games, that's Western, that's not Eastern. So it's going to be interesting. I really like the direction they're taking with it. Like I said, even in the preview, you said it sounded very thematic. So it's going to be interesting how this all plays together. And I feel like with the Paintress, if you noticed, even with the trailer, the music was playing beautifully around the sense of the world and how the Paintress was painting the world. And as they were getting further and further in the world, you could see the difference. And as they were getting closer, in a sense, I think, to the Paintress and where the Paintress was, you can see the changes in the world. So I think it's going to be very interesting to see how this all ties, how they tie this story together, so to speak. I'm intrigued. I'm hyped about it. Obviously, it's not till 2025, so there's going to be a lot more that drops ahead of time. I will say, though, my big thing, besides the visuals and stuff like that, because the game can be visually stunning, that doesn't mean it's going to attract me per se, is the story, but also that combat system. And I know we'll talk about that a little next, but that really is what caught my attention.
What we'll talk about. Well, Mike, tell me your thoughts on basically. Well, everything Gio went over, but more importantly, just your aspirations and how you feel about that theme that the game has.
I mean, it's, I'll say, unique. Well, that's not unique, but hopefully it goes into a path. The concept of the story, I think we've seen games where the whole concept is the same thing. I can't think of games right now that reminds me of, but it's just the whole concept of going through the storyline, looking at it. So it's not like it's original per se, but it's just maybe their perspective, how it is. So I do like it. It's definitely intriguing, of course. I mean, we already said it. We're all gonna get the game. I think it's gonna be hard pressed for them. Any kind of future trailers that they come out with, it's gonna deter us from getting the game because I think we're already kind of peaked at it.
Mine's made up.
Yeah, mine's made up kind of. So the only downfall is until we get the game, and then it's like. But to be honest, I don't think it's gonna bomb. I think it's either just gonna be a good game or a great game. I don't think anything of it, but I don't know. I mean, how they did it, I think we'll just gotta see when more trailers come out and more gameplay. Because I don't think they showed a lot of the gameplay. I think they did on the fighting scenes, but it wasn't
small segment. Small
It
segment.
was a small segment. It wasn't like a big. So and looking at it, we'll just gotta see how smooth and fluid it is. But it's from just first glance, it looks like it's pretty good. Can't lie. But yeah, I mean the story seems fine. The whole concept of it, it's not original per se, but like still looking forward to it.
Their spin on it.
Yeah, there's just this spin on it.
Because and that's another thing. Just like this is a French company's spin on the JRPG genre. Because I mentioned before, like the Desperation is a more of a Western thing, but it's more a step further. It's just like in the trailer, at least from what we received, there's no main character energy that the Easterns have. Because even in their Desperation stories, and I'm going to reference animes and games right now, like Berserk as a good example, that is a Desperation story. However, we have Guts, the main character, who is a genified, certified badass. You can't say that. He's literally has main character energy. Another example, if you read the books or heard about it, or an anime, is Guts. Guts is another like Desperation story, but it has that main character energy, with the main character just being like a survivor of the only survivor, one of the only survivors. So this idea that the thematics of the game is like no one is showing main character energy. There's no one protagonist so far that is like, you are the chosen one. Yes, this is a Despero, but you are the chosen one. You will lead us to salvation. We didn't get any of that. It's just a whole bunch of people trying to survive. And that is, it may happen in Japan, but it is not a mainstream thing. But you know what is mainstream in Japan, and what I do want to talk about afterwards, and Gio brought this up. Turn-based games are very popular in Japan. It is, if not their most well-written genre, it is the thing they are known for. They literally have the genre called JRPG after them. They are basically the forefathers of turn-based games. And we've mentioned their turn-based games often. So what do we feel personally about turn-based games? But more importantly, how do you think turn-based games would be received in the public today on the mainstream stage? Because I know we're looking forward to it. We're getting it, but we're also the people that play Final Fantasy, that play Chrono Trigger or Chrono Cross, or have done so many turn-based games in our childhoods, or just played single-player games. But nowadays, popular games are Fortnite, and popular games are online only. Diablo 4, Starfield. All of these games always have multiplayer. So for a breath of fresh air, a single player coming out in the day and age, especially as the first game for a new company, very risky. What are your thoughts? And Mike, I would like to hear your thoughts, because I know Gio has played a lot of single player games, but I don't think we've heard much about your single player like endeavors and things like that, specifically in turn based games.
It's been a while since I played any kind of turn-based. To be honest, I don't even know the last time I played a turn-based combat.
Probably one of the last Final Fantasies.
Either that or go and play Chrono Cross or Chrono Trigger again. Was that turn-based? Yeah, I'm pretty sure they were.
Yeah, turn-based.
Yeah,
They were indeed turn based.
I've always loved the turn-based. I also love things changing and evolving. And some people may take this as, well, why are we going backwards? But I think if the game is good on itself, the combat system, and especially the combat, and if done well, the combat system is smooth and fluid. I don't think it matters if it's a turn-based combat, because I know recent it's just like open combat. I think the last Final Fantasy that I played was kind of like an open world type of combat. So
I
it's
believe you're
different.
talking about 15.
Yeah, I think it was 15. Yeah, it was 15 where it's
Mhm.
open and added. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I did play.
Mhm.
I did dabble in 15. So I see where people may think like we're going backwards in terms of because always technology is always evolving and things are always changing and improving, but some things that you just leave alone. And I think trend based is one that type. I don't see any. For me personally, I don't see any issues with trend based combat. I do like it. It's not up to technology now, but on par kind of type with other games. But like I said, if the story, music, and how it's done, I don't think people would care per se. And I can't speak for everybody, of course, but like I don't think people would be turned away just because of the combat system in itself. So I like it. I love turn. I've always loved turn based. I'm fine. I'm a fan of it. And I mean, not saying I didn't like the open world combat system either. I just like the story. The story's good, regardless of the combat.
All right. Gio, what about you? Turn-based game.
For me, I feel like I know what you're saying, like some of the popular games these days. I don't think they're targeting or trying to be one of those popular games. Let's be honest, turn-based is more of a kind of like a niche genre in itself. Like it's gonna cater or appeal to a certain crowd. We grew up at a time where JRPGs were like a big thing in the RPG world. So for us, it's kind of like a throwback. It's paying homage. We're excited for it because we kind of miss that aspect and miss kind of having a good turn-based RPG game with a good storyline. And, like we spoke about, like, we're big fans of the Final Fantasy series and, we like those kind of games. So it's interesting to us to see what they can do with this genre and how they, set up the rest of this game once we get more information and when we actually get to play it. I always enjoyed the turn-based because I don't know. I feel like turn-based gave like a certain strategy feel to it. I'm sure they're gonna do stuff that's not like your original JRPGs. I'm sure there's gonna be maybe like a time limit kind of deal before you be attacked, which they started to do in some of the Final Fantasies. Like you can't just sit there and take forever kind of deal. So I'm sure there's gonna be elements added to it. I think the one thing that you pointed out, I forget what you called it, where you see them like they gotta like hit A or X or something like that while attacking.
Quick time events.
Yeah, quick time events.
Yeah.
They had that in one of the Final Fantasies. I think it was like 13. I think we had it right. It was 13.
It's one of them where
or 13-2 when it was like all the chicks or something like that. I think it was.
First of all, that's 11-2 or 10-2.
11-2.
Excuse me.
10-2.
Excuse me. 10-2.
10-2. Sorry. But yeah, no. So I'm intrigued in seeing that and seeing what they put on that game, like their spin on the JRPG turn-based style. So for me, I don't really care if it gravitates to the mainstream audiences. I think they'll have an audience. I think they're only aiming for a certain audience. If it gets bigger than that, great. That's awesome. It'll be cool. Like you got to think about it too. Like a lot of people our age too at this point, they have kids. So this might be an introduction to their kids to turn-based games. So this could help revitalize turn-based games in a sense and make it more mainstream. That's something to take into consideration. Also, most of us were introduced to turn-based games by, say, older brothers, sisters. Like Steve is the one that got me into the turn-based RPGs. I wasn't an RPG player before Steve. So usually somebody gets you into that niche. So I'm intrigued to see how it trends and how it takes off. I'm sure it has to have a strong performance, and I hope review-wise it gets the reviews it needs to get that push that it'll need. Because reality is, if the gaming magazines bomb it, it's done.
Well, we'll see when it comes out. I believe it's right now. Release date has not officially, but it is in 2025. And we'll obviously talk more about it then. We'll see reviews and we'll see how the game does. Does anyone have any closing comments before we end the episode?
No, I'm just excited to see what they got in store.
All right, and my question for you, gamers, what do you think about turn-based games? And what's your favorite turn-based game? Make sure you leave that down in the comments below. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time. Peace.
Later.
Thank you for watching this episode of the Part-Time Gamers Podcast. Be sure to like the video and subscribe to our channel for more content like this. And follow us on our other social platforms on TikTok, Instagram, and Discord. Links for those will be provided in the description. Thank you again. We will see you on the next episode of the podcast. And make sure you make some time for video games. Peace.